Hello, 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 and happy Monday to you. Yes, you're listening to SOAPBOX Daily, episode 199, and I'm your host, Matt Morgan. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Yeah, it's a Monday. How was everybody's weekend? Do you have a good weekend? Was it a relaxing weekend? Was it a fun weekend? I hope it was. And the better question is how was your integrity? Were you doing the right thing and no one else is watching? Were you making the positive change in the world? Only you will know, onwards and upwards. Don't forget this, folks. It's important in order to change the world. You have to kind of influence others, be that influencer, be that, what everybody wants to be today, and help make the better change in the world. Get rid of the hate, bring in the love. So we are down to the last 2 or 3 episodes, and right now at episode 199, we're going to wrap up one of my biggest passions. I couldn't put a pause on the SOAPBOX Daily series unless I brought this up again, because it's a big pet peeve for me and a big passion of mine. So this is what we're discussing today, and our topic today is, or title actually is, you might be a bad driver if. Yes, you've heard of the you might be a redneck if. Well, I was going to go with you might be a moron if, but that might just be our name of our next podcast, who knows. But today we are going with the title of you might be a bad driver if, and we're going to sum up a few points when it comes to driving, because we all know that one person who claims to be an excellent driver until you get into their car, of course. Well, it may be hard to gain the courage to tell someone that their driving is, well, not great. We believe we have found a solution just to start things off that you can get someone to realize how dangerous they can be on the roads. So, simple question. Ask somebody that thinks that they're a good driver. Ask them to answer this question honestly. When you reach a stop sign and no one else is coming from either direction, do you roll through instead of stopping? Ask somebody that thinks that they're a good driver. Ask them that question, because if they answer yes, that it's okay to roll through, then you can inform them that they're considered a bad driver. Because according to insurance.com, 87% of bad drivers believe that it's okay to speed, go through stop signs, and break other driving rules and regulations as long as no one gets hurt. Yes, folks, that's how many ignorant drivers are out there. If you think about it, 87% of bad drivers believe it's okay to do these things. And while, it's good to be confident on the road, it is also important to follow the driving rules. You're not special, folks. You're not special. Follow the rules. Driving's a privilege. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when it comes to driving, because there is some areas that people are not realizing. I mean, signs, I'll give you some signs. I'll give you 13 signs that give you an idea if you're a bad driver, to really make you stop and think. Here's 13 signs. So think about these ones. Number 1, people tell you. Plain and simple. People tell you you're a bad driver. So stop and think about it. Number 2, you get pulled over a lot. That speaks volumes. There's a reason you get pulled over. And forget about all this other BS made up stuff for why you think you're getting pulled over. No, if you're getting pulled over for traffic violation, it's for a reason. Number 3, you avoid certain driving situations. You avoid certain driving situations, and they're like, what do you mean? Well, when it comes to driving, there are things that you prefer not to do, but you kind of have to do them because they're part of the rules of the road. Number 4, you make other drivers uncomfortable. Maybe you driving erratic, swerving in and out of traffic, texting when you shouldn't be touching your phone. Number 5, people are always overtaking you. If somebody's overtaking you, there's a reason, because they think you're an idiot and want to get away from you. That's why they're overtaking you. They don't want to be behind you because they see how foolish your driving is. So they want to get the hell out of there. I know I do. Number 6, you're always getting into accidents. If you see that you seem to be the common denominator in a situation, chances are you're the problem. If you keep getting into accidents, chances are it's not because other people are bad drivers. It's because you're the one that's causing the accidents. Number 7, you don't know how to park. Oh, this is a big one. You know what gets me is I don't know how people can mess this up at places like Costco. But normal parking lots, I agree. Some parking lots are really bad for this. Very small spaces. Have you ever seen Costco parking? Yeah, they're huge spots and people still mess them up. I watched a woman the other day pull into the grocery store. Not a care was there at all when she pulled up. Pulled right up almost diagonally into the parking spot, crossing, just barely touching the line. So technically, yes, she was qualified to be considered parking, but so inconsiderate to everybody else. Parking is driving 101, folks. Number 8, you get distracted easily. When you're driving, you're not supposed to focus on anything else other than what you're doing. No texting, no screwing with the radio. If you can't multitask, if you can't handle those other tasks, you should leave them alone. Hands at 10 and 2, eyes forward, focus on what you're doing, follow the textbook. It is a responsibility and it's a privilege, not a right. Okay, number 9, you're always getting lost, which I don't know how people get lost, especially since they have Google Maps and they have this annoying little application that will talk to you and tell you where to go. But I don't know, that's kind of minor, but still, if you're always getting lost, means you're probably not paying attention to the roads, not paying attention to your surroundings, not paying attention to your environment, which you should be focusing on. Number 10, you have a bad attitude behind the wheel. Oh, this is textbook in the sense that I believe that you should have a certain level of patience, a certain level of common sense when it comes to driving. If you road rage, if you got a hot head, if you are impatient, any of that, if you can't understand that situations happen that you can adjust to when it comes to driving, you shouldn't be driving and you shouldn't have a license. Realistically, no. Number 11, you don't know the rules of the road. Well, duh, that's kind of 101. That's kind of obvious. If you don't know when to signal, if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing behind the wheel of a car, you shouldn't be behind the wheel of a car or a truck or anything else. Number 12, you don't communicate. Well, that obviously means you don't interact with other drivers. You're kind of like, oh, you're special. You have your own special lane and no one else matters. So, you don't signal or anything. I mean, that's just kind of foolish in my opinion. You don't. Signaling is a big, huge pet peeve for me. I don't understand why people don't. Good drivers communicate with other drivers to let them know what they're doing and when they're doing it. Every car has a horn. Every car has a turn signal and brake lights for a reason. And if you're not using them as you should, then you're not being a good driver. It's that simple. Communicate your intention to what you're doing to other drivers. 13, you drive tired or while under the influence. This is one of the most dangerous things you can do on the road. If you're driving when you're tired or under the influence of drugs or alcohol, you're not just putting your life at risk. You're also endangering the lives of other drivers. When you're behind the wheel of a car, anytime you're putting other people at risk. And this is why they get pissed off at you. When you're not signaling, when you're not stopping when you're supposed to, when you're speeding, when you're being an idiot on the road. It's not just you, it's other people that are concerned about their lives. So that's why they get upset, okay? So if you're a bad driver, now what? What do you do? Well, if you find that you're guilty of any of these things that I mentioned, 13 points, don't despair. Yes, the first step is acknowledging that you are a crappy driver and not the best driver out there, and then try to figure out why, what you can do to fix it, and what you're supposed to do when it comes to driving so you can learn from them. Because we're talking offenses like everything from you follow other cars too closely, which is considered tailgating, which is a huge... If you can't see the wheel underneath the wheels of the car in front of you, you're too close. Driving fast or driving too slow is a big thing as well. Too fast, loss of control, little response time to correct yourself. Also driving too slow, well, there's a flow of traffic you got to keep up with. Too slow can cause accidents because people are trying to compensate for the reduced speed of what you're doing. If you're going to go to reduce speed, there's a reason. There's a hazard lights, little light. Your signal lights, well, all 4 of them go on at the same time, blink on and off to let people know you're going super slow. You might see it on the road with big rigs, big trucks. Other people ignore road conditions. I saw a bunch of idiots yesterday pouring down rain and they're just speeding on by like 120 kilometers in an 80 zone. And I look at them and I'm like, you guys ever heard of a thing called hydroplaning? Look it up. Road conditions are important as well. Turn signals are a big pet peeve because not using your turn signal is possibly one of the most common driving bad habits around, and you look like an idiot. Some drivers switch lanes without putting on their blinkers, while others sit in an intersection without communicating to anybody what they're doing. The purpose of a turn signal is to notify pedestrians and other drivers of your intentions. If you fail to do so, you can get into an accident or even kill someone. So if you're continuously forgetting to use your blinkers, then maybe it's time to take a few additional driving courses or get a bike. Anytime you are going in any other direction but straight, you use your turn signal. Anytime. Mark that down, etch it into your head before you get the wheel of the car. Make a sticker and put it on your dashboard that says that, because that is key thing. Anytime you're changing lanes, changing any other direction but straight, you use that turn signal. Make it a habit. That way you just do it on autopilot. And to sum it up, if you're not aware of how bad of a driver you are, that's the worst thing, because you're going to keep making these mistakes, look like a complete moron, and frankly piss off everybody around you. It's going to cause you problems as well as everybody else's problems. There's nothing worse than making a mistake and not realizing that it was a mistake. Like everything else in life, driving is a learning experience. However, if you don't know that you are committing certain driving crimes, then you are unlikely to ever change for the better. How do you make yourself more aware that you may in fact be a bad driver? I mean, have other experienced drivers evaluated you on your abilities by sitting them next to you as you drive? If they do spot certain bad habits, then don't shut them out. Take them in as constructive criticism and learn from your mistakes. And do make sure that you mine your lessons from multiple sources, just in case, just to be thorough. Listen, there's a lot of people out there that think they know how to drive. But I'll tell you, some of the biggest offenses I see is, one, you know your lights, turn them on all the time. On modern cars, it's on the left-hand side. Depends, I guess, where you are in the world. But it's a little turn dial, which basically you can put to auto. So whenever your car needs lights, it'll put them on. Just turn it on full time. They will go off as soon as you turn off your car. Leave it on auto all the time. All the time. Don't think you got daytime running lights that makes a difference. No, your lights will go off. You leave it on auto. They will go off when you power off the car. They won't stay on. They won't drain your battery. You're fine. Number two, signals. Signal. If you're not going straight, signal. Two of the biggest pet peeves I have, folks. Let's start with that little lesson. Start with those lessons, and you be less of a moron on the road, look less stupid to other drivers, and you keep everybody safe. Start with that, work outwards from there. Common sense and logic. That's all I'm going to say. But I needed to do something to wrap this up because I wanted to make sure before I put a pause on the show, that people come to realize how important and how responsible you have to be for driving. Do the right thing, folks. As I always say, how's your integrity today? Do the right thing when no one else is watching. You don't have to impress anybody else, but I'll tell you, you definitely scare the hell out of people if you keep driving like an idiot, and people are going to think you're a moron. And I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it. Would you like people to think you in the best lights and show you some respect? Then why don't you give them something to respect? Drive like you're supposed to. And especially you idiots in big trucks. You don't own the road. You don't own the road. And I know you feel all powerful, all perched up there in front of your gas guzzler. But you know what? You're the biggest offenders out there. You bunch of idiots. Stop being idiots. You don't need your truck. Majority of you don't need your truck. You just feel powerful. But use your signals. Don't do something stupid, because smaller cars, people can definitely get hurt. All right, that's it for today. Happy Monday to you. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. We got 2 more episodes to go beyond this. Reach it to 201 just so I can wrap up the whole entire series. But in the meantime, don't forget, please check out themadmorgan.com. Yes, themadmorgan.com for more information on all our podcasts and projects and shows from now and going into the future. If you're wondering where I'm going to be after Soapbox Daily, well, you got to keep an eye on themadmorgan.com to find out. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. You have an amazing rest of the day, and I will see you next episode.